Hello. Can you people hear me? Start. So, is there any problem with the go-to meeting or what today? You know, so most of them, almost everyone didn't show up. So, anyways, at least I got a couple of people, so I'll start because I'm not sure you may not have a class tomorrow because of festival. So that's the reason why definitely I'll take the session today. Yes. So today, first of all, yeah, today, first of all, let's try to create a hibernate project. Okay, that is what we'll see. That means what are the dependencies which are needed to work with hibernate framework, so that libraries and all will work with it. Okay. Yes. Okay. So first of all, you know, in order to work with hibernate framework, you need hibernate libraries for that. Okay, you need hibernate libraries. I'm sorry. So you can download this hibernate libraries from the official site itself. So there are different versions of hibernate libraries. So you can download this 4.3.11. Yes, this is the site here. This is a link. So we have this download option here, 4.3.11. So try to download this one. Okay. So that is a download. That is a file which you need to download. So once you do that, here, uh, you see, you'll get a zip file. Actually, I got 4.3.10. So just one version. That means just a minor version difference is there. That's it. Okay. So here, you see, you'll get a zip file. You have to extract it. Okay. You'll get a zip file, and you need to extract it. Yes. So once you extract the zip file, you should see this folder with this contents. You'll find the folder with this contents here. Yes. So now here you see in this folder we got, in the extracted folder you'll find a lib folder, and under the lib you see you got this required folder. Under the lib you'll find required folder, and under the required folder you'll find the jars which are needed to work with Hibernate framework. Okay, yes. So these are all the jars or the libraries which are needed to work with Hibernate framework here. Yes. Okay. So yes. So Naveen, this is the download link to download Hibernate libraries. You need a 4. You have to download this 4.3.11. So you'll get a folder. If you extract that folder, you'll get a zip file. If you extract it, you should see this for contents in that folder. You'll find a lib folder. Under that, you have a required folder where you have all the jars required to work with Hibernate framework. Okay. So this is one important thing, all of you. Next, along with the Hibernate libraries, uh, it's also better if you people can install, um, you know, Hibernate tools. Yes. So Hibernate tools are basically provided by JBoss. I'll show you people. JBoss tools for Eclipse here. Okay. So now this is the official site from where you can download this JBoss tools. Just a minute. So I'm showing you people the tools which are needed to work with Hibernate framework. Okay. Yes. Here you see, um, you need to install this JBoss tools. But again, it depends on the version of Eclipse which you're using. So which version of Eclipse you're using? Yes, that 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 is important. You need to know first. So can you people tell me what version of Eclipse you people are using? Okay, you see, you have the appropriate update site link. This is the official site here. So I'll just paste that link here. You see, on the left side, sorry, just a second. So on the left side, you have this download links. You see, this is the one for Mars, Eclipse Mars, and you got 4.3.2 final for Luna. You see, Eclipse Luna. Okay, yes. And 4.2.1, I guess it is for the other versions of Eclipse ID. Okay, yes. So you need to download the appropriate version of. Sorry, you don't need to download it, but first of all, check this appropriate version which you people are using here. Okay, yes. So for other versions of Eclipse also, you have the options here. You know, you don't need to download this tools, but you'll find the update site link here. You'll find an update site link. You see, um, for example, here it is. Just a second. You see, you got a tab update site. Update site. Click on this update site. So here is the link here. So people who are working with Eclipse Luna, you have to use this update site link to install Hibernate tools. All of you who are using Eclipse Luna, okay. So you need this update site link, okay. So you'll use it to install the Hibernate tools, okay. Yes. And similarly, so for people who got Mars, Eclipse Mars, the very latest one, you can use this download link, you see, which I pasted in the GoToMeeting chat. Use that download link which I pasted in the GoToMeeting chat here, okay. So what to do with this update site link, I'll tell you people, okay. So first of all, you copy this link and save it somewhere. Yes. Now let's see how to install this tools in the Eclipse ID. Actually, already I have installed this tools in my Eclipse. So if someone can share your machine, I can share your screen. I can show you people the steps. Yes. So who will share it? If you can share the screen, I'll show you that installation on your machine itself. Okay, fine, good. So I'll make a Manasa presenter. So I'm giving you the option, presenter option. So you got that option. Yeah, Manasa, you got that option. Okay, fine. Just a minute, all of you. Okay, so we can see a screen. You can minimize this Google Chrome, Manasa, and open the Eclipse ID. Okay, open the Eclipse ID. Minimize this Google Chrome. Okay, just minimize it. Don't close it. Minimize this one. Yeah, Manasa. Minimize this Google Chrome. This browser, just minimize it. You're able to see this browser. Minimize it. Open Eclipse ID. Can you hear me, Manasa? Manasa, can you hear me? Okay. Uh, Try to rejoin. Okay. She has got some problem. She's unable to hear me. So we are able to see her screen, but okay. So just a second. I'll show it in my machine itself. Though it's already installed on my machine, but once again, so I'll show you people here. Um, so in between, just need to follow this. Just a minute. So let her join. We'll start. Okay. So first of all, so if you want to install Hibernate tools, you check your Eclipse version which you're using. and appropriately use that update site link. So if you want to know what version of Eclipse you're using, go to help. Under the help, you see you got about Eclipse. See here you got this version details. It's a Luna here, Luna service release 4.4.2. Yes. So this is the version of Eclipse which I'm using here. Yes. So now what you'll do is here, you make sure that you copy that update site link for Eclipse Luna. This is the one. Copy this. Yes, Manasa, can you hear me? Just a minute. Select computer audio option if you have any issues. Okay. Now you see, make sure that you copy that update site link for the Eclipse ID here, the appropriate version of that update site link. And now go to the help in the Eclipse ID, open the Eclipse ID. Please make a note of it. So in the Eclipse ID, you see you'll find that you got install new software option here. In the Eclipse, you have help. Under the help, you got install new software option. Under the help, you have install new software option. You can select this option. In the Eclipse ID, you have help. Under the help, you have install new software option. Okay. Install new software option. Yes. So once you open this option, you see you'll get a pop-up window here. You'll get a window. Now here we have this text field. Work with. Just paste that update site link here in the work with text field. Okay. In the work with text field, paste that update site link. Yes. So once you do that here, you see you'll get this. Once you paste that link and press enter, you see down you'll get some options. So one of the options is JBoss application development. You see this option, JBoss application development. Yes. You don't check that option, just expand that option. Expand that option, JBoss application development. Just expand it. You see under the JBoss application development, if you expand it, you'll find Hibernate tools. Just a minute. You should see Hibernate tools. Maybe because already I've installed it, now it is not showing this option. So you just check this option whether you are able to see this Hibernate tools option. Yes. Are you able to see Hibernate tools option under the JBoss application development? You should see Hibernate tools. Yes. So hope everyone is able to do that. Yeah. because I've already installed it, it is not, I'm not getting that option, not able to see that option. So select that Hibernate Tools option. So that's the reason why actually I thought of showing it on your machine. New, but select that option and click on next. Okay, click on next. Select that option and click on next. Now it will download the required, you know, uh, required libraries, whatever are needed to install that Hibernate tools. Okay, yes, and from there you can follow it. From there you can simply follow that option. You'll be able to see that. Okay, yes, simply follow that. So others also able to see that Hibernate tools option under the JBoss application development. Okay, so hope everyone got it. Okay, so you see, just follow that wizard. It will help you to install Hibernate tools. Once you're done installing Hibernate tools, now you should, under the file you got new, right? Under the new you have others. Under the others, you should be able to see Hibernate here. Hibernate wizards, you should be able to see that. So if Hibernate tools are successfully installed on your machine, if Hibernate tools are successfully installed on your machine, then you should be able to see this option. Under the file new others, you should see Hibernate option. Okay, you should see this option here, please. Just a minute, please, just a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, so now um, let's do one thing. We'll try to create a Hibernate project here. and we'll be using this Hibernate tools. Okay, yes. So first of all, you know, your Hibernate framework, you can use it in any Java project. So it can be a standalone one, or it can be a web or enterprise application. Okay, it can be any type of application here. Okay, fine. So now I'm creating a very basic Java project. File new, Java project option is there here. You see, file new. I'm just creating a normal Java project. I'll call it as hip proj, just a normal Java project. Click on finish. So you see, to this project, we'll add Hibernate libraries. Okay, so we want to work with Hibernate framework, right? So you have to add Hibernate libraries. So first, please make a note of the steps here, all of you. So it will be easy for you people later on. Yes. So first create a project. Okay. Next, we'll add a Hibernate libraries here to this project. For that, select the project, right click on it. You got properties option here. Yes. So in the properties, you see you got Java build path. Make sure that you select this libraries tab here. Select that libraries tab. Okay. Now you see, after selecting this libraries tab, you got this add external jars option here. Add external jars. Click on this. So after clicking the add external jars, now you can browse to that location where you have that Hibernate libraries. Okay, browse to the location where you got this Hibernate libraries. Yes. So here I got Hibernate libraries here. In the extracted folder, you should see lib. Under the lib, you have required folder. Under the required folder, you have this jars. So add all the jars which you see under the required folder here. Add all the jars which you see under the required folder. Click on open. Okay. Yes. Now along with the Hibernate libraries, you'll need JDBC drivers as well here. Okay. So you have to also add JDBC drivers. So you're working with which database server? So based on that, appropriately add the JDBC drivers as well. You see here, in this case, we are working with MySQL server. So I will add the JDBC drivers for MySQL server. So why we have to add the JDBC drivers here? What do you people think? Because, you know, internally, Hibernate uses JDBC API. Okay, Hibernate is built on top of JDBC API itself. Hibernate, you'll find that it is built on top of JDBC API itself. Yes, that's the reason why you have to add JDBC drivers as well here. Yes. So click on add external jars and make sure that you add JDBC drivers. So don't forget to add JDBC drivers. Okay. Yes. Yes. So once you're done adding the Hibernate libraries, okay, now you're ready to use this Hibernate framework. So first and foremost thing what you need to do is here, we need to supply the database, or we need to configure the database details. Okay, we need to configure the database details here. So how will you supply the database details or configure the database details? So in the last class I was showing you people, where did we configure the database details? Where did we configure the database details? Just a second. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. So how will you supply that database configuration details? Yes. In the last class we saw that, right? How will you supply the database configuration details? What to do? Yes. Database configurations. So we need to configure them in a configuration file. You'll have a XML file. So you have to create an XML file and configure the database details in that XML file. Okay. So I'll say, where you have to create that config XML file. So that XML file is actually called as Hibernate configuration file, and you need to create that Hibernate configuration file in the source folder itself. Okay, let's try to do that. So select the source folder, right click on it, you got new option, go to others. See, I'm going to use this Hibernate tools here for this purpose. I'm going to use Hibernate tools to create the Hibernate configuration file. Okay, yes. So now go to that Hibernate wizards where you have this Hibernate. Under the new, you should see Hibernate option also. You see, under the Hibernate, you have this Hibernate configuration file option. You have this Hibernate configuration file option here. Okay. So select this Hibernate configuration file and click on Next. You see, now what name will be given to this configuration file? See, by default, this name of the configuration file is hibernate.cfg.xml. By default, Hibernate configuration file name is hibernate.cfg.xml here. Okay. So now I'll use this name, default name, click on Next. You see, once you click on Next here, you got a window which you can use to easily configure the database details. With the help of this wizard, you can easily configure the database details. So first of all, you see, select the dialect. Dialect means it refers to the database server. So with which database server you want to interact here, you have to specify that database server name. So it is MySQL. Okay. So we want to interact with MySQL server. Next to the driver class. So you see, once you select the dialect, now you will find that this tool will load the appropriate driver class here. Okay. Yes. This tool is going to load the appropriate drivers. You see, now we have two drivers here. What are they? So we got org JT, you can use this one. And the other one is, okay, again you have to configure that the connection URL, the next thing. So configure the connection URL here appropriately. Yes. Yeah. So JDBC colon MySQL localhost 3306/test. That's it. So this way, make sure that you configure the connection URL here. Next thing, what you need to do is we need to configure the username and password here. So schema and catalog, we don't, already we have mentioned the schema here in the URL. Okay. Yes. So this way you'll supply that database configuration details. You configure the database configuration details here. Yes. Now you can click on finish. You see, now what you're looking at is actually the database configuration file here. It's actually the database, sorry, Hibernate configuration file, which contains the database details. You click on the source tab. You click on the source tab. You see, you got this XML content here. Yes. Okay, so now you have all the database configuration details here. You have all the database configuration details here. Yes. Next, what to do? Now you have to decide like with which database server you want to interact. So with which database server you want to interact? I'm sorry, not server, the table. So you have to work with the table now. So with which table you want to interact here? So for suppose here I want to interact with the product table. Okay, so I want to connect to the product table. I would like to interact with product table here. Yes, just a second. Let me open the database once. Okay, you see we got this product table. I would like to use Hibernate to interact with this product table. Okay, so what to do? So first of all, here what you need to do is you need to define a Java class to represent this product records here. Okay, first of all you need to define a Java class here, which represents the product records. Yes, so let's try to do that. So I'll define that class here. So I will add this class to a package called as com.entity, and the class name is product, let's say. So now in this class, for each column I will add a field here. For each column, which you'll see in the product table, so we'll add a field. So I'm making it a Java bean here, you see. I'm adding getters and setters. That's it. So it's just a normal Java class here, okay? Yes. So now we got this Java class. So what's the next thing we need to do here? So the next thing is here, you need to map this class to the table. You need to map this class to the table. That object relational mapping which we saw in the last class. Okay, yes. You have to make sure that you map this class to the table and the fields to the columns here. Let's try to do that mapping. So we'll do it with the help of annotations here. Sorry. So first of all here, you have to annotate this class with entity annotation. Okay, entity annotation. So this entity here, it indicates that this class objects, you know, they're special type of objects. They can be stored to the the object state here. It can be stored to permanent storage. Okay, the state of this object, entity class objects, you can say that it will be stored to permanent storage, that is to the database server normally. So this class objects, I can say that the entity class objects, when I say entity class, that means that entity class objects, they represent the records in the database server, I can say. They represent the records in the database server. Yes, that is an entity class. Next, we need to map this class to a table. So that in that details, let's add it. Product. Okay. Yeah. Next, here we need to map this fields to the columns, as I told you people. We need to map this class to the, sorry, fields of this class to the columns. So let's try to do that. So first of all, on top of this field, I will add ID annotation. I'll tell you, don't worry. So we have to use a column annotation to map this field to a column in the column annotation. It is integer variable. Yes. Sorry, not that variable name. What is it? ID. That ID variable. So that annotation is placed on the top of that ID variable. Now here you see this ID variable of field. Now I can say that it is mapped to the column whose name is product underscore ID. It is mapped to the column whose name is product underscore ID. Yes. So similarly, you can map the other fields or other fields also to the columns. Name equal to, let's say, product name. Name equal to product description. Name equal to product price. Yes. Okay. Now you see, only on top of this ID field, I've added this annotation at the rate ID. Okay. So what does that means here? Yes. Only on top of that ID annotation here, you see. So we have added that annotation at the rate ID. Yes. You know why we use that annotation? Actually, I can say that here, whichever field is mapped to the primary key column, whichever field is actually mapped to the primary key column, on top of that field, we'll add this ID annotation here, I can say. Okay. You see, now this ID field, it is mapped to the product ID, which is actually the primary key here. Okay. Yes. Because it is mapped to the primary key, that's the reason why we use this annotation at the rate ID. Okay. Yes. It's a special field, I can say. That's it. Yes. So hope you people got it. So this is all the mapping information. So whatever I did so far, so is it clear for you people? Can I have yes or no? So is it clear? Okay, hope everyone got it, right? So who will use this mapping information? Your framework. Hibernate will use it, and it will help us to interact with the database, I can say. It will help us to interact with the database. Yes. So now once you're done configuring this, sorry, that creating that entity class, so you need to configure that entity class details here, com.entity.product. This way, using the mapping element, you need to configure the entity class details in the XML file. Okay. Yes. So what's next here? Now we are almost ready to use this Hibernate, I can say. Okay. Um, Before that, what I will do is, okay, there is a question from Naveen. So is this XML file is going to be the same for all the programs? Now it depends on the database server. Okay, if you're using a different database server, then you'll configure different database details here. So as of now, I'm using MySQL server, so I've configured MySQL server details. You see this driver class name, so that username, password, the URL will change from database to database. Okay. Generally, these details, you see, whatever the details you use in JDBC, the same details you'll configure them here. Okay. Generally, in JDBC, you'll configure the database details, right? So same details. So you got it. Okay. So now here, if you want to interact with the database server using Hibernate, now we need to use one of the components which is provided by the Hibernate. So what is that component? In the last class I've mentioned it. If someone remembered that, can you people tell me what is the component which is provided by Hibernate to interact with the database server? Yes. So Hibernate provides a component which is used to interact with the database server. So that is session. Okay. So it is actually called a session. Yes. So now we have to write the code to obtain the session. We have to write the code to obtain the session. So here that code to obtain the session, I'll write it in a separate class. Let's say this way. I'll call it as Hibernate util. So in this class, I'm going to write the code. Actually, I'm not going to write the code directly to obtain a session, but instead, so I will write the code to obtain a session factory object, which is needed to obtain a session. So if you want to obtain a session, then you need a session factory object. You got another type of object called a session factory. So the session factory object is a factory object, I can say, to create sessions. It's a factory object for creating sessions here, I can say. Yes. It's a factory object for creating sessions. So how will you create the session factory object? Let's see. Sorry. Now I'm going to write this code to obtain a session factory object. So why we need a session factory object? We need a session factory object to obtain a session, I can say. Yes. You need a session factory object to obtain a session. So I'm going to write this code in a static block here. So first of all, we have to bootstrap or load Hibernate. So obtaining the session factory object here, you got a process for this. First of all, you need to make sure that you load or bootstrap Hibernate. So for that, you have to instantiate this configuration class. Instantiate the configuration class first of all. Yes. So here, this configuration class is from Hibernate. Generally, it is used to load that Hibernate configuration file. So if you want to load the Hibernate configuration file, call this method configure. What it does, loads hibernate.cfg.xml file here. Okay. So when you call this configure method, what it does, it will load that Hibernate configuration file. It loads that Hibernate configuration file here. So after loading the Hibernate configuration file, so the next thing is we need to create a service registry object. Okay, yeah, just a second. Sorry. So you need to create a service standard service registry object here this way. So just instantiate this class called as standard service registry. Yes. So now after instantiating this class, so you have to obtain a service registry object here. Service registry dot apply settings. There is a method. You have to supply that properties. So what is this standard service registry object? Why we have to create it? I'll tell you just a minute. So here, just now as I told you people, the configuration class, so it is used to load that Hibernate configurations. Okay, so using the configuration class here to load the Hibernate configurations, right? So that is what we are doing. Now this service registry object, it is created to register that properties, Hibernate properties here I can say. In the Hibernate configuration file, you got the properties which you have configured, right? So in order to register that properties, so we use the service registry. So in order to create the service registry object, so you need to create a standard service registry builder object first. Through the standard service registry builder object, we will create a service registry object. And the service registry object is used to configure, or it is used to supply that properties here. Okay, Hibernate properties. To register that Hibernate properties, we'll use this service registry. To register the Hibernate properties, you see, here we have these properties, right, in the configuration file. So we have to register them with the framework. So how will you configure the properties with the framework? You see, through the service registry object. So in the service registry builder, so you got this method apply settings. You have to call this method, and you see pass that properties here. So get properties will return that properties. So you will register those properties, and we use this build method. You're calling the build method, right? So that build method will create that service registry object, I can say. The build method is going to create the service registry object. Yes. Okay. Now, why we need a service registry object to create a session factory object? You see, we can obtain the session factory object here through this step, build session factory, supply that registry object reference here. That's it. You see, the last step. So we are obtaining a session factory object, and to obtain that session factory object, you see, we use that configuration class method build session factory. So to this build session factory method, to the build session factory method, we are passing that registry object reference. So you're passing that registry object reference here, service registry object reference, I can say. So this is the procedure of creating a session factory object here. So why we need session factory object? Yes, why we need a session factory object? To create a session. That's right. So if you want to create a session, so first of all, you need to obtain a session factory object. You know what? One more thing. So this is all just one-time process. It's just one-time process. Creating this session factory object here is one-time process. So once you're done creating the session factory object, you know what? Now you can use it. Use this session factory object here throughout the application. A single session factory object is enough to create any number of sessions. Using a single session factory object, you can create any number of sessions here. Okay. So once again, I'll quickly review this. So here you see, in order to create a session factory object, first you need to create a configuration class object here. So configuration class is from Hibernate, basically, which is used to load the configuration file, I can say. You see, how will you load the configure? How will you load that configuration file? By calling this method configure here. So we got this method configure. And after loading the configurations, now we have to create a service registry builder object in order to create a service registry object. So what is the service registry object? So basically it is used to register the Hibernate configurations, I can say. Yes. It is used to register the Hibernate properties. Hibernate properties. So first of all, you'll create this service registry builder object, and to this service registry builder object, you're supplying that properties, Hibernate properties, and then you'll call this build method, so which in turn creates a service registry object. And now that service registry object is used to create the session factory object. You see, in the configuration class, we got this method build session factory. We got this method build session factory. Yes. So when you call this method here, you have to pass the service registry object reference. So which creates that session factory object and returns that session factory object reference here. That's it. It returns that session factory object. You see, all this code, I've written it in a static block here. All this code, we have written it in the static block. Yes. So, you know what? This static block which you got here, it only executes once, and we are making sure that only one session factory object is created here throughout the application. Only one session factory object is created throughout the application. Okay. Yes. Fine. So this static block, when it executes, whenever this class is loaded. So static block here, it executes as soon as this class is loaded. Okay. Yes. And the class is loaded only once, and the static block, it executes just once here. Yes. Fine. Now, here, so I'll add a getter method which will return that session factory object reference. So in this Hibernate util class, I'm adding a getter method. So when it is invoked, it returns that Hibernate. It returns that session factory object. Okay. Yes. Now we got that session factory object also ready. Now let's write the code here to interact with the database using Hibernate session component. So if you want to obtain a session component, first of all, you need to obtain session factory object. Get session factory. So session factory dot open session. Call this method open session. So first obtain the session factory object here through the Hibernate util, and then once you got the session factory object, what you'll do? So you will call this open session method to obtain the session. Okay. Yes. So to obtain the session, use that open session method. Yes. So once you got the session, now you can use the session to interact with the database server. Okay. Now what I want to do is I would like to fetch a product record from the database server. Okay. Yes. You see, for that you got get method in the session. We have a get method. Call this get method and pass the product ID. So straight away you'll get the product object reference. You see, so this is all one-time process for us. Creating that configuration file, obtaining the creating that session factory object. Once you're done, you see now throughout the application you can use the same session factory object, and you can use the same uh, configuration file here throughout the application. But sessions should be different. For each transaction, you need to obtain a session. Yes. So you see, once you call this get method, what the get method does now, so it will interact with the database server. So it will query for that product record based on that ID. It will fetch that product record here. Okay. Okay. Now let's try to display these details. Product ID, price, description. So now let's run this code. Okay, we are all set to go. You see, you got that product record from the database server here. So is it clear for you people? Any doubts or questions in this regard? You let me know. Okay, good. So hope this is clear for you people. Now this way, you see, we can create a Hibernate project. So you need Hibernate libraries, and you see your Hibernate tools also will help you people in this regard. See, to create that the configuration file and all, right? Yes. Okay. Now we'll consider a case study here to work with this Hibernate framework. Okay. So we'll go through one of the case studies where, as of now, you see, we have just discussed about one table interacting with one table, that is product table. But in general, you'll not have a single table. So you'll have multiple tables, and moreover, you'll find that those tables will be associated. Yes. So, so we'll take a schema, database schema, where you have multiple tables involved, and where you have the associations between those tables and all. Okay. Yes. So that is actually called as a domain model. We got something called as domain model here. So we'll consider this domain model for our discussion. Yes. So, but I'll talk about this domain model, and we'll see how to work with this associations between the tables, how to work with the associations between the tables and all such things in the next session. Okay. Yes. So I'll stop it here. So before coming to the next class, if you people got some time, go through domain model. Okay. If you got some time, go through domain model. Okay. Yes. So we'll be discussing about this domain model, and we'll see how to implement this domain model. So in Hibernate, that is what you'll be doing here most of the times. Okay. Yes. Fine. So I have a question. Actually, I saw that most of them have joined very late today. So is there any trouble joining the class in the morning? So you want me to start it little late, let's say by half hour or so? Please let me know. It's fine now, because I'm seeing that only one person has joined. till actually this class was about to start at 8, right? So till 8:15 there was only one person. So only after 8:15, so after half hour or so, people have joined slowly. Yes, so that's the reason I'm asking. Yes, okay, but please make sure that you people are on time, all of you. Okay, yes. So tomorrow there is no class because of festival. Okay, again we have a class day after tomorrow at our regular time. So there is no class tomorrow. Again the class is on day after tomorrow. Okay, so that's all. Happy Dasra, all of you. Wish you a happy Dasra.